Hello everybody, my name's Craig.
And I'm Amy.
And this is our YouTube channel, Amy and Craig. As you can probably tell, we've done a few weekly Australian vlogs, but this week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the accommodations we've stayed in, because we've stayed in a few places here in Australia thus far. Where have we stayed?
We have stayed in the Gold Coast, Brisbane, Byron Bay, Sydney, Canberra, and now we're in Jindabyne.
So for this week we're doing something a bit different where we're going to be talking about the places we've stayed in. So it's more of like an accommodation review sort of thing, and we're just going to have a conversation about that sort of stuff.
So the first place we stayed was a hostel for 3 nights in Surfers Paradise in the Gold Coast. The hostel was called Bunk.
It's got a lot of foot traffic, people coming in and out of there all the time.
Yeah, it's a high turnover of...
Pilopple?
What?
Pilopple. It's a funny town for people.
Oh, Pilopple. Okay.
It's the first time I've stayed at a hostel, and the first time I stayed in somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, I don't think I've stayed in a hostel before.
How did you find it?
I
think the thing I thought about while staying at a hostel was that it always is dependent on the people you are with.
Yeah.
So if we had a room full of 4 people, so it was us 2 and then 2 others, and I think the hostel itself has got, you know, lots of different like pool, kitchen, all these different areas, but the crux of it is whoever your roommates are is going to change the experience for you dramatically.
So obviously hostels are known to have bunk beds, which is fine unless you're like in your 30s. It's not so fine.
I don't think that's fine. 30s is fine. What's wrong with that?
I'm really sorry, my nose is running.
Better go and catch it then.
So the bunk beds are fine. It was just the fact that I was on the top and I had to climb up, and like
the bunk beds as well, they were different. So if you think of bunk beds, there's a bunk and then another bunk, but these were sort of a bunk one side that you couldn't access.
Yeah, and then there was like a partition, and then it's so you had some privacy really, which was fine, and you had like a little lamp, bedside lamp, so you could, you know, if everyone was sleeping, you could at least have some light if you wanted to read or whatever. It was okay for what it was. You know, you have a bunk bed. There is limited room for yourself. We had 3 or 4 different people stay in our room whilst we were there, and it's just something to be like, hey, here's your first place. Get on your feet, get your bearings. For me, I just remember us being jet lagged the whole time. I think because of the jet lag as well, I probably had some of the best night's sleep.
Really?
Maybe not necessarily at night, but when I was sleeping, it was solid. It was out. I did not wake up once. Head hit the pillow.
But then you
wake up. That's it. There was nothing in between.
But you did wake up at like 4 in the morning?
Yeah, but then I was going to sleep early, so it's not... I'd wake up at 4, but then that would be me awake, and I'd try and read and occupy myself for a couple of hours, and then in the end I just got up and went to the beach, didn't I?
Yeah. So we met a few people there. They were quite nice. There was one guy we never spoke to, and you, sir, are the worst person. The worst. Turned up at 11:30, midnight, came in through the door, just put the big light on straight away.
And 3 of us were like... The other 3 of us were fast asleep.
Yep. So then he goes, oh, there's some people here. I will just drag my stuff through here, drop them off, then walk back to the light switch, turn it off. And then he went out and came back at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
awful
then
person.
Just like to open the curtains first thing in the morning and then leave them open, and then he'd leave while some of us were still sleeping. It was...
So that was our personal experience.
Yeah.
The facilities and stuff, you get a shower, toilet, you know, all the bathroom stuff that you share with your room. You get a locker and a safe, which I don't think ours worked.
I don't think any of the safes worked.
Yeah, a little bit rough around the edges, shall we say.
Yeah.
There was the
what do they call it? The common area.
Yeah.
There was like a big TV and
Yeah, it was
people
alright.
hanging out.
Yeah.
There was a barbecue area, swimming pool. There was a kitchen the kitchen looked really like.
It was huge. It was massive.
I didn't notice any cookers though, but I just saw microwaves.
There were hobs. I did see
There were
hobs.
hobs. Okay,
yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
it was okay.
Yeah, like for 3 nights, it was fine.
We did stay at another hostel, but we will get to that. And I would say that I had a more positive experience there than I did at Bunk.
Yeah, so the next place that we stayed at was still in Surfers Paradise, but we had gotten ourselves an Airbnb just for a bit more privacy and so that I didn't feel like I had to wear my flip-flops in the shower every time I wanted to wash. And it was floor 22.
Was it?
I think it was floor 22.
I remember it being like a high-rise building.
Yeah, it was floor 22. Sea view. It was lovely.
I think there was a hotel and then also privately owned apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a privately owned one.
Yeah, and so it was basically like a studio apartment. So it was all open plan apart from the bathroom. So we had lounge, diner, kitchenette, bedroom, big spacious wardrobes, and then we had a shower and sink and toilet in the bathroom, and then we had a lovely balcony.
Which overlooked the sea.
Yeah. But it was quite windy up top, so it was quite nice. So, but being out on the balcony, it was a little noisy as well, because like the sea and the wind and everything. But
is Gold Coast just warmer in general? Because I feel like we were still trying to acclimatise, and I just remember it being hot.
It is very hot, but yeah, we were also trying to acclimatise.
Okay.
There
was a pool in this Airbnb, which was quite nice. It was open to everyone.
And tennis courts, but we didn't.
Tennis courts. Was there a gym there, I believe?
Yeah, there was a gym.
And laundry and washing machines.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice. Nice room, nice view.
Yeah.
Bit pricey.
Yeah. And I will say, like, if you are staying in any sort of accommodation that doesn't have its own personal washing machine and dryer, is to make sure you read the signs. Because we walked around Surfers Paradise for ages.
Good hour.
Yeah. Because we went to a dry cleaners, or laundrette, sorry. We went to a laundrette to get there, and it could only be cash, which is fine. We're lugging all our dirty washing in a little suitcase. So then we had to go to an ATM to withdraw cash, and we thought, oh, we'll just eat something on the way, or on the way back. I can't remember. Anyway, by the time we got back to the laundrette, it had closed early. So we went back to our apartment, and as we got in the lift, I saw a sign that says guest laundry services.
And guess what we did that night?
We spent hours washing and drying our clothes.
It was about 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. Always check the services around, because if you're a traveller, more times than not, there are going to be laundry services available.
And also, the amount of times we'd gotten in that lift and had not noticed the signs for the floors.
Yep.
Where it said, we'd seen that the swimming pool was on floor this number and the tennis courts were on floor that number, and not once did we notice laundry services. So, yeah, just pay attention.
The other thing that I would probably just say about this Airbnb is that the aircon unit was just above the bed. And I'm someone that, I can fall asleep in cold or hot, but someone else cannot. And then when they start fiddling with the remote in the middle of the night, somebody else gets dripped on and, just panics that something's going wrong.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
So, yeah, you were fiddling with it in the middle of the night because you got hot, and then it starts dripping on me, and then I panic, and I'm, where's the remote? But you've got the remote in your hand, so I'm just panic looking whilst it's wetting my pillow, and I'm like, and it's so funny.
Also, he thinks I overreact, but...
I
So
like
does
my
he.
sleep. Just going to put that
I
out
like
there.
my sleep too, but if I'm waking up in a sweat, I'm not exactly enjoying it, am I?
Well, sweat would have been a welcome liquid instead of what I got.
I mean, it's just water. It's not like
Yeah, air-conditioned water. No one wants that in their mouth.
it wasn't in your mouth.
It dripped, drip, drip.
Yeah, of
drip.
course it did. Of course it did.
Yeah, but the Airbnb was nice. As I said, it was a little bit pricier when compared to the hostel. So it's sort of, you get what you...
Well, we didn't pay for the hostel, so.
More on that at another
Later.
time. Okay.
And then the third place that we stayed at was in Brisbane. So even though we flew into Brisbane and then drove straight to the Gold Coast, we came back to Brisbane because Craig wanted to watch the AEW event that was happening in Brisbane. So it was only for 2 nights.
I feel like we
3
stayed
nights?
there a couple nights.
2 or 3 nights.
For protection, should we say our Airbnb host was called Rodney?
Rodney. I don't think it matters what our Airbnb host was called, but it was just a room in somebody's apartment, bungalow
yeah.
type thing, and it was fine. It was a room, and we were out for a lot of our time whilst we were there.
Someone was struggling with the lack of aircon. It was
Yeah,
just
it was just a fan,
which I definitely hit at least once or
hit
twice.
several times. Like, he just kept forgetting that the fan was in the centre of the ceiling, and he'd like shake the bed sheets out, or he'd go to put his clothes on. It was very, very fun.
That's how I put my clothes on. He was friendly enough.
Yeah, he was nice. Just chatted too much for my liking, and boy, do I like a chat. But yeah, no.
Not really a lot you can say. Like,
And it was
a room
in a
in
place called
someone's
Brighton, which is like north of Brisbane, so still in Brisbane, but it was closer to the entertainment centre where the wrestling was, because there wasn't really anything in Brisbane that for us as such, apart from the wrestling, in my mind anyway. And that was also solidified when we actually went into Brighton Centre, and it just felt like...
It was like a small town.
Well, it's not a small town. It was a big town, but it just reminded me of just every other dingy city.
Dingy?
But not Sydney, because Sydney's brilliant.
Wow, you're going to say dingy.
No, it was like walking around London. I was like, doesn't interest me.
Brighton itself seemed quiet, you know. It was
Nice little
residential.
beach.
Yeah.
We sat and watched the sunset, but like the sunset was behind us, but we watched the sky change in front of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really have anything. We celebrated Valentine's Day there.
Yeah.
We went out for dinner.
We went to that weird swimming pool, the public swimming pool that I can't remember the name of.
We went to a swimming pool?
Can't even remember. That's how memorable it was. We got we got a bus over a big long bridge, and then
the lagoon.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't remember what that was called either.
You couldn't remember what it was a minute ago.
It's not an actual lagoon. It is basically a big old swimming pool that's free for anyone to use. It's outdoors. We made the mistake of going on a weekend, so there was like kids' parties there.
I would just like to say our host Rodney did say like, "Oh, it's free to everyone. I'm thinking about going for a swim here and there," and then
he would look like
He would look like what?
He just would not look right in that.
He would look out of place.
Yeah,
Is that
he would look out of place in that. I felt out of place in there.
Lots of kids.
Lots of kids.
I think
lots of families.
multiple birthday parties going
on.
on.
Lots of teens. But it was nice to just dip. It was really hot in Brisbane, so it was nice to just have a little dip and cool down.
Definitely. Should we go on to the next place?
Yeah, so after Brisbane, we then got the Greyhound bus, which is basically a coach, from Brisbane to Byron Bay. And Byron Bay was lovely. We stayed in the YHA hostel. I actually don't know what YHA stands for, but...
Something, hostel, something.
Anyway, so at this point we had our own private room, so we still had a shared bathroom, which was like at the end of the corridor, but it was even though the rooms were inside, everything was sort of outside.
Open plan.
Yeah, so it was like open plan.
So whilst Bunk was just like multiple floors, YHA was 2 floors. Actually, it might be 3 or 4 floors. But the bit
No,
we
didn't
stayed
have
in.
anyone above us.
No, but there was more floors.
Oh yeah, in other parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So like you go around the corner, there's the kitchen on like an outside space.
Yeah.
Then on the ground floor is the pool, and washing machines and drying.
And the communal sort of. Well, they called it the internet room, didn't they?
Yeah. There was an internet room.
The Wi-Fi is the strongest in that room, which is fair enough. But yeah, it was nice. It was really great location. The staff were really helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
It was relatively quiet, considering the fact that I felt like we were the eldest 2 there, and only being 30 and 33. You know, we're not really that old.
Don't dox me now. Okay.
But a lot of younger people were out and about.
It's hard to describe, but it just felt a bit friendlier than Bunk, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
Maybe that was due to the layout. Maybe that was due to the staff. Who knows? But yeah. But that was a really nice place. Byron Bay is lush. If you want quiet, but also walks, and if you want to surf, like, it's a great place.
But the beach was busy a lot of the time.
The beach was very, very busy.
And I would say like Byron Bay is definitely, there's more going on than Brighton was. So
oh yeah, definitely.
you say it's quiet, but there's also a lot happening at the same time.
But then Brighton, if you were staying in Brighton, then you'd go into Brisbane. But Brisbane's more of a like lake, river city.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not really any beaches because there's a river that runs to it, and yeah. But Byron, Byron was nice. And then after Byron, we flew to Sydney. Yeah, we flew to Sydney, and we stayed in a hotel about an hour's train from the city centre. So still, it was nice because I'd read my book and Craig would play his video game on the train, so it wasn't too bad, and it was just like one train. We didn't have to change or anything. But it was in a little town called Riverwood, and we stayed at the Riverwood Hotel, which is an adults-only hotel.
Not in like adults only, like, you know, kinky stuff. What?
It was more...
no kids are allowed to stay in this hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a casino, I think.
Which we didn't know until we got there.
No, and then we kept smelling this like cigarette smoke in our room and in the hotel, and it turns out you can actually smoke in the casino. So I wouldn't recommend staying there unless you don't mind. But I mean, it was cheap. We had our own private room. The bathroom wasn't that far. We had a shared kitchen if we wanted to cook. We mostly ate out a lot of the time, but we were on holiday. But yeah. The only downside to that place was our alarm went off at 8:30 one morning, and like we'd snoozed it, and within the snooze time the fire alarm went off, and I opened the door. At first I was like, it was quite quiet actually, wasn't it? But I was like, is that a fire alarm? So I opened the door, and everyone else was opening the door, like poking out their heads, and like some people were just like shutting the door and getting on with it. And I was like, right, I don't know if this is real or not. So I got our backpack, passports, phones, wallets, purse,
all the things they tell you not to do.
My Kindle. I was just like, everything that we need, just pack it, because we can buy new clothes, but if we can't use our phone to book whatever, then, you know, what can we do? So yeah, luckily that was fine.
It turned out there was no fire, but someone had pulled the alarm for whatever reason.
But because the alarm went off, the fire brigade came out, and we weren't allowed back in until the fire brigade had obviously cleared that it was okay.
But also with it being adult only, like the hotel was on the left-hand side. Down the centre was a bar, and you go through there to the casino. Out the back was a little restaurant, quite limited in what they would offer.
Yeah, especially for vegetarians.
Especially for vegetarians. There was also a BWS shop built into the hotel. So they really leaned hard
Bottle
into
wine and
the
spirits.
beer.
Bottle beer, wine and spirits, otherwise known as a bottle shop.
Bottle shop.
Bottle shop.
The other thing as well, I think, to point out is there was no lifts. So we had to carry our heavy suitcases up the stairs, which was a pain.
Can I just say that our luggage, mine specifically, was like, it was touch and go when we were weighing it in the airports, because it was like, is it or isn't it going to be over? And it was...
It wasn't...
But luckily yours was under, so it was all right.
Yeah, they still had to slap the heavy luggage sticker on yours.
Yeah.
But no, it was like Riverwood itself as the hotel room was nice. You know, you got a nice TV, you got a nice fridge.
Lots of space.
The facilities were okay. There was a shared bathroom, and you could not pay me enough to get in that bath, that's for sure.
No, I would not use that bath at all.
But yeah, overall, just a side note, that was actually the second time a fire alarm has gone off in our travels, which I'm sure it happens to people, but I've never heard of anyone doing it, and now it's happened to us twice.
Yeah.
The first time we got complimentary mangoes and fruit. This time...
Did we?
Yeah, they gave us a fruit basket as a sorry.
Oh, that's funny. I don't remember this at all. But that was in Vietnam, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
It was at Vietnam. But that was at like 4, 5 a.m. This one was slightly a little bit more...
There was a lot of people looking tired.
Yeah, some guy just came out with literally nothing.
When she says literally nothing, she means clothes.
He was wearing clothes, but he'd literally just walked out without anything. And then other people were coming out with their like full suitcases, and yeah, it was
something.
Yeah, now you just look back and laugh. You're just like
yeah. Riverwood was nice enough, I'd say, especially for the commute to Sydney. Where did we go to next?
After Sydney, we got the coach to Canberra. No, we didn't. We got the train to Canberra.
We did, the long train.
It was like 4.5 hours.
Yep.
But we got first class purely because we had 2 bags each. We went first class purely because we had 2 suitcases each, and if you were just in the economy, you could only have 1 suitcase, but if you were in first class, you could have 2. So...
Do you want to air your grievance?
Oh, yeah, well, so you're supposed to check the luggage in, and then they put it in the back of the train, and then when you get out at your stop, the bag's waiting for you. But it could only be less than 20 kilos. My bag was 23 kilos.
And you were like... But I can have 2 20 kilos bags, but I can't have 1 over.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, because of the backs of
yeah,
our
staff. But it's a limit for the staff. So I had to take that one on the train with me, which is fine. But
at the time, it was not fine.
No, I was a bit annoyed because like I'd paid for a service. But then, yes, my bag was over. But in my head, you know, when you go to the airport and you check in, as long as your bags combined are less than the total weight, it's fine. So I thought it would be the same, but it wasn't. So even though Craig's was less, even though my little suitcase, my cabin case, was only like 9 kilos, and my bigger case was like 23 kilos, 24, but no.
And that train, not a fan of the food on board. You know, it was very.
No, but we did take some stuff to us, like for ourselves.
Yeah. But we're not talking about the train and the journey.
Anyway, Canberra. The
capital of Australia, don't you know?
Yes, it is the capital of Australia. So it's we stayed in it was clearly a house that they've converted into like loads of small bedrooms, and they just rent out the bedrooms cheap.
It did look like there was lots of office working from all the pamphlets and guidance that was on the walls and stuff like that. There was desks and things for like busy business people that just want to stay over a night to do their business.
But we stayed for 2 nights, but only because we'd gotten the train there, and then we had to get the coach from there to Jindabyne, which is where we are now. And the coach doesn't run on the weekends, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so we got the train, and then we stayed 2 nights, and then we got the coach on the Monday. So we did have a little browse in Canberra, and it's nice, but we were out of the room most of the time. So the room was like fine. We had a private toilet and shower.
See, I don't remember that. I remember us being in the room most of the time because
you?
I was starting to get ill.
Oh yeah, you were getting ill.
So we spent one proper day in Canberra, and then the rest of the time I was,
Yeah, but we did try to go out.
Yeah, we
did go
explored.
out.
We saw the UK Nando's, but it wasn't in the UK.
No.
We saw the Aussie Nando's, should it be called.
The Aussie Nando's.
Um,
Very different stuff.
very
And
different.
really cheap.
the room itself, though, was all right. A bit basic.
Yeah, I mean,
The lamp,
they
the
had
light bulb
they had a
went-
wardrobe with no hangers
just teasing you there. This is what you could have, but
and no hand soap in the bathroom. Like,
and our lamp went out.
our lamp broke.
Yeah, well, the bulb went, and I got scared of plugging stuff in after that into that socket.
Yeah,
Canberra also quite hot when we were there.
yeah. Canberra's quite nice though, but there's a lot of homeless people there. Like, I haven't noticed it that much.
But I think that might have been the same with Sydney.
I don't really recall seeing any in Sydney.
After being in Sydney and then being in Canberra, Canberra does have a more sort of chill vibe when compared. It's hard to, where we're from in England, like London is the capital and it is the busiest part of the country.
I'm the worst.
But it looked like Sydney was the main, portion compared to Canberra at that point, at least from my perception.
Yeah. And then
Here we are.
we got the coach Jindabyne. Our boss picked us up from the bus station, and and here we are. We'll talk a little bit more about where we are and what we're doing later on. Perhaps when I'm not so tired. I don't know. I think it's the light. I should have worn my glasses.
We are filming this on the first proper rainy day we've had in Jindabyne.
Yeah,
So we are
and we've been here
undercover.
2 weeks now.
Yep.
So 2 weeks today, actually.
Today?
Yeah, we got here 2
yeah,
weeks today.
That's time flies,
Yeah.
isn't it? So all the same stuff. Thank you for watching.
Mm.
Can you make that noise again?
Mm.
Follow us on our social media, Amy and Craig on TikTok and Instagram. Smash that bell. That's what they say, innit?
Smash that bell.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Welcome to the Amy and Craig show.
That's just digging into your chin.
Hello.
Oh, now you want to do it.
Why don't we say it together? Hello, we're Amy and Craig.
Hello, we're Amy and Craig. I know I hate that intro.
Yeah, let's not do that. We're not that cool.
I don't think cool people do that.
No.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Okay.
Let me just cough.
You done?
I've got a twitchy eye. Can you see it?
I can see it.
Oh.
It's one for the outtakes. Why are you clapping?
So you know, it's like the little...
But I leave it as like a gap, like a few seconds silence before I commence again.
Oh, okay.
But you can do the clap if you want to be the clap.
I did. That was part of the palm. That was not really good.
That
That was a wasp.
it's going to be impossible to edit.